Hi, welcome to this course, a toolkit for PE teachers. My name is Divya Deep. I have been into sports education for last 20 years, and this course is a foundational course for physical education teachers to provide the practicality of doing a structured physical education program in schools and to supplement their learning in Bachelor of Physical Education and Master of Physical Education courses. So the first module in this course is the foundational module, which is understanding the role of PE teachers in the 21st century. So this is the foundational module or chapter for this course. All other chapters in this course stems out from this foundational module. They are offshoots of this module. So the role of a PE teacher. As PE teachers, we have this incredible opportunity to shape young lives, and ultimate outcome of our role is to inspire a lifelong love for movement. Traditionally, being a PE teacher has been more about just organizing games and activities. However, in today's context, where a lot of research has gone into and we have discovered the power of physical education to supplement learning in other domains as well. In this context, the role of a PE teacher is not just limited to organizing games and activities. The first and the foremost, most important thing is to create an inclusive and supportive environment where every child, regardless of their gender, ability, background, feels empowered to thrive. So let's deep dive into this multifaceted role of PE teacher, where we will explore these 8 sections. The first is introduction and qualities of a good PE teacher. Second is the planning and implementation of physical education program and the journey from physical literacy to physical education. Third section talks about power of documentation in physical education. Fourth section is about nurturing holistic well-being and exploring the connection between physical education and social emotional skill, SEL. Fifth section is about championing inclusion and building a sporting culture. Section 6 talks about school policy and child safety. Conducting events is the 7th section, and the last is the leadership in physical education. Let's explore essential qualities of a PE teacher to become an exceptional coach, mentor, role model who's able to spark a lifelong passion for movement and healthy living in children. So passion. So this quality will ensure that all other aspects of your work is covered. If you're passionate, you will be punctual in your class. If you're passionate, you will be able to create an inclusive and safe environment for children. If you're passionate, you will be able to plan your lessons well in advance, be aware of the safety strategies and practices in your classes. It's very essential to look like your profession. So ensure that you're passionate about your role as a PE teacher, not dwell in the past achievements, and ensure that you're keeping yourself fit to inspire students to embrace physical activity with joy and confidence. Effective communication. As PE teachers, you're required to communicate with children, with school leaders, with parents, local bodies, sports federation. So you need to master different types of communication styles as per the audience that you're speaking to. For example, with children, you need to be short and concise, simple, in order for children to understand what the activity is. So therein you might be required to go in more detailed. With sports bodies, sports federation, local bodies, you might need to be extremely polite and professional in your communication. So effective communication is a very essential quality to have uh, in order to take responsibility of the physical education program. You need to communicate with all stakeholders, right? You should be able to also converse with parents and educate parents about the structured program, the plan, and the progress of their child in the physical education program. The third key quality is adaptability. In the dynamic world of PE, especially in schools, adaptability is the key. So, a skilled teacher should be able to adapt to unforeseen situations. For example, you have planned an activity for class 1 in a large space, and at the last minute, the space is not available in the school. There's so much happening. Let's say buses have been parked in that space. You should be adaptable in the sense that now you get a smaller space. How can you change, modify that activity according to space? Another example could be that some of the equipments or props that you had planned to do the activity are not available. It's being used by some other PE teacher. Are you able to adapt in such situations? Another example could be you have planned, or according to the timetable, you have class 1 coming in, and instead of that you get a substitution class, let's say a class 6 or a class 4. So you should have a couple of lessons handy, age appropriate lessons handy. You should learn them by heart and keep them ready to ensure that you are able to accommodate such situations. Adaptability can be outside your classes as well. For example, sports day plan. You've planned something, you've already done some drills, practice with students, and at the last minute there is a plan change because there was either a space issue, there's a budget issue, right? So all these unforeseen situations keep coming into our job role. So we should be able to adapt. Strong leadership skills are also crucial. There are always a tug of war that is going on for resources between various departments and schools. You need strong leadership skills to ensure that you have the right resources to conduct the PE classes in your school. Also, you need to demonstrate model positive behaviors like sportsmanship, fair play, respect for others, to motivate students to reach their full potential, both individually and as a team. And it will be effective even for the other departments, colleagues in the school, to ensure that you are able to create a leadership for physical education in your schools. Fifth quality is the organization. So it's a very important quality, especially in the perspective of your class management. If you're organized, your children will also be organized. You will have less effort and time to be put in to make them organized. And children learn by observation. So if you are not organized, they will not be organized in your classes, and that will increase the effort required to manage the class. So ensure that you bring organizing skill as a innate skill, be it your sports room, be it your documentation, be it the classes that you're doing, the spaces that you are managing in your physical education. You need to organize them really well. The last quality is of being a lifelong learner. Staying up to date on latest research and teaching methods and trends. It's very essential to keep yourself updated on international physical education standards. There are various policies that are floating around, you know, outside India. Within India, you have the most prominent policy, which is the National Education Policy, and its recommendation given in the National Curriculum Framework. Very essential to keep yourself updated and align your curriculum framework, align your lesson plans according to these latest recommendations and policy. Also, to improve the experience of children, to give them more fun and joy in your classes, keep learning new teaching methods. What are the different trends in physical education? What are the technological interventions that you could use uh, to aid your physical education classes? Also, monitor your own class. It's very essential to keep a journal of your own classes so that you could refer to them after your classes and see where the gaps or areas of improvements are there for you as a physical education teacher. This was also inform about future planning in your classes. And lastly, build your own network of good PE teachers and mentors uh, who could be working in different geography, uh, in different settings, different schools, large schools, small schools, different kind of resources, right? So you'll be able to learn from this network how to bring the best of all the worlds to your school uh, in your job role. So that's the end of section 1. What we have covered here is the qualities of being an exceptional PE teacher. Ensure that you have a journal about these qualities and assess yourself against each quality, and uh, create a goal ladder for yourself and see how much do you want to improve for each of the quality in order to be at a good optimum level in able to execute your role. Section 2 is planning implementation with strategies and promotion of lifelong physical activity. So why it matters? To deliver a well-structured education program, dynamic lesson plans, the right curriculum framework is the backbone of a well-structured PE program. So here we will explore how to design, deliver and assess engaging learning experiences. We will cover how to align your lesson plans with national standards, uh, national policies, incorporate innovative approaches, and maximize physical activity time. So here we'll be covering 4 parts. The first is planning. How do you achieve a balanced approach to physical education while complying with national, international PE standards and national policies? Second is creating an annual operating plan for your classes, assessment, and events. Third is class management and maximizing moving time in your classes. And last is how PE teachers can promote lifelong physical activity, physical literacy through their structured PE program. So let's go through the key consideration for planning. The first and the foremost point is alignment with international PE standards, such as NASP, which is National Association of Sports and Physical Education. Policies by education boards like National Education Policy. We need to prepare a curriculum framework based on these standards, these recommendations given in NASP, NEP and NCF. So these are the documents that you need to study carefully. We will be providing you these documents in the main document of this chapter, which you can refer to it later. There will be few activities also that we could assign to each of these papers to ensure that you have a deep understanding of these standards and policies, so that you are able to prepare a very customized plan for your school as per the elements present in your school, based on the resources that you have, based on the overall approach school wants to take, right? So while these serve as a guiding principle, but you will have to tailor the recommendations as per your school requirements. The second key consideration in planning is what kind of fundamental skills will you involve in your lesson? What are the developmentally appropriate activities that you will have as you progress from pre-primary, primary to high schools? And are they progressive in nature? Are they inclusive? What kind of variety are you offering in terms of lesson plans, in terms of equipment? So all these considerations are very vital, so that later on there is no confusion in terms of what activities are to be done, because this is kind of your roadmap for the year in terms of lesson plans. Once you're clear on this, it will be very easy to then focus on variations in activity. The second important aspect of this planning is what kind of learning outcomes are you going to involve in your lesson plans. As recommended by NEP, NCF, there is a focus on cross-domain learning. So through physical education, how do you teach life skills? How do you teach cognitive learning outcomes? That is something that needs to be planned well ahead in advance. You cannot write activities and then search for learning outcomes. Whenever you write an activity, first you have to focus on the learning outcomes that you want to achieve. From there, and you start planning or writing your activities. So you need to find a very balanced approach in your lesson plans, that how many lessons will have physical learning outcomes, which is mostly all your lessons, how many will have sports skills learning outcomes, which is most of your lesson plans. But then there has to be a choice made between life skills and cognitive learning outcomes. What kind of life skills will you include for grade 1 and grade 2, and as you progress, there should be developmentally appropriate learning outcomes as you progress upwards through the grades. So you need to create a framework for your learning outcomes and then proceed to write your lesson plans. The third key consideration is how do you maximize moving time? Most of the schools, private schools, have 2 classes per week, and 5 to 10 minutes are wasted in terms of coming to the ground and going back, or class management, getting organized. And by the time you start, you've already lost 10 minutes. So you have only 2 interventions in the week. It is very essential that you are able to maximize playing time in these 2 classes. How do you do that? So you have to set clear signals and routines. Routines are something that is repeatable in your class, happens every day, and you don't have to waste time to repeat them every day in your class. So you spend time in your first and second class to establish such routines, so that you don't have to repeat them in every class, for the entire year. Clear signals, start and stop signals, use whistles, verbal cues, music. There could be some schools where whistles are not allowed, so you will have to use verbal cues. You could use posters, you could use music. Music mostly is suitable for indoor spaces, because you don't have much of the background noise, and music is sufficiently loud and clear for the children to follow. So you will have to study your environment in your school and then come up with your kind of or more suitable signals for start and stop. So this minimizes your downtime and increases activity time in your classes. Equipment management. Very important that you uh, select the right kind and the variety of equipment to be used in your classes. Uh, since you have very less time, you can also assign students as your prop managers, equipment managers, and therein you're also teaching them the important skill of life skill of organizing. Active warm-ups, minimal instructions, use dynamic warm-ups, create routines for warm-ups so that children, as soon as they're coming into the class, they already know which warm-up is to be done. So all these needs to be planned well in advance, and some of them can be shared with students. Minimal instruction time, as we had discussed this during the first section when we were talking about effective communication as an essential quality of PE teacher. Uh, Keeping instructions to minimum, concise, and using more of demonstration activity will lead to better understanding of activity with children. And use visual aids, use placards, use if you are in the indoor space, you can use the wall and put your instructions there to minimize time. Small sided games, you can organize them. They're very helpful in terms of managing your time, and because it's kind of automated, and you have the rules set, and there's not of too many starts and stops or requirement for giving regular instructions. So the activity is continuous. The fourth key consideration is the most important one, which is fun and engaging activities. It's very important to have fun. While we are focusing on recommendations by, given by various policies, it is very, very essential not to miss out the fun factor in your classes. So ensure that your lesson plans, the kind of equipment that you're using, the kind of start and stop signals you're using have fun incorporated into them. Fifth is variations within the lesson plans. So there are different type of students who are learning at different pace. You need to ensure that the same lesson can be done in a differentiated manner with different type of learners. So you need to have a lesson plan with the progression or difficulty, or you could have a very toned down version of the same activity which can be more simple and easier to do with a different set of students. Try to use different groupings, like you have an individual activity, you have partner activity, you have activity with small group, large group. All these contribute to a differentiated activity and kills the boredom in terms of the type of activity that you are doing with children. Use multiple stations to ensure that everybody is getting chances, and the variety of skills and the waiting time is less. Sixth is adapted lessons equipment for special needs. So there are children who require who have special needs. Ensure that every lesson that you're planning, you have a provision for such children, that how would you adapt this activity for those children. So have a separate, keep your notes and plan this well ahead in time, so that you're able to run parallel activities in your PE classes. And you could also plan well in terms of listing down these children with special needs and understand their requirements and create individualized goals. Modify activity. There could be situations where we'll have to modify activity as per student, not as per a group of special children. So these consideration needs to be planned well ahead in time. Assessments. Uh, so you need to prepare a framework for assessments based on the structured program that you've created. Now, what skills are you going to assess? At what stage? At what age group are you going to assess aerobic capacity? At what age group are you start to assess core strength in children, right? So there needs to be a framework prepared for this. Then which are the sports skills that you are going to assess? How are you going to assess? Do you have the grading system to provide grades for various fitness scores and various skill tests that you will be performing? Your assessment framework will also have the frequency. When are you going to have these assessments? What kind of are these uh, final assessments or summative assessments? What kind of technological interventions will you bring in to ensure that you are able to conduct assessments, especially for large schools where you have very large student strength? Assessment could be a very tedious process and time-taking process. Sometimes it could take about 2 to 3 months to finish assessments for a student strength of over 1,500 students. So, how can technology can help in terms of completing these assessments in less time and with a lot of accuracy? So as we had mentioned earlier in the section 1, maintaining a network of PE teachers and mentors is very essential. They will give you a perspective of what is happening, what is the latest trend in physical education, and you will be able to maybe find a solution outside the school for such peculiar problems. The last key consideration is to set up an evaluation process and shortlist tools. How would you evaluate your sports program? What are the processes that will be used? What are the tools that you will be using to evaluate your classes, your assessments, your events? So while you have tailored a structured program, you also need to create a framework for evaluation so that end of the year it can serve as a learning tool for future planning. So the second part of planning is creating an annual operating plan for your entire year with as classes, assessments and events. So create a structured schedule. This will have your weekly, monthly plans aligned to your curriculum. It should also take into consideration your seasonal changes, like whether it is outdoor, indoor. Mark those months like it could be July, August, which are rainy seasons. What are the activities that you are going to do indoor? Are those activities aligned to your curriculum framework? So here you will have to keep your monthly planners ready. It should be distributed to all PE teachers. You should have a copy of it, and also you can share it with other teachers to apprise them of the work to be done for the entire year, so your classes are not substituted frequently. Regular assessments. This operating plan will have special emphasis on your assessments. So ideally you would like to do an assessment beginning of the program. It can be called as a baseline assessment. After the program, you could have end-line assessments to gauge the success of the program, how the activity lesson plans have affected the end-line assessments. So the structure of the assessments and the frequency will depend on the number of classes you have. So let's say you have only 2 classes per week. In such scenarios, you are able to deliver, if you account for all holidays and substitution classes for the year, you will be able to do about 60 to 70 classes for a particular section. So as per your number of classes, you will be able to increase or decrease the intervention of assessments. If you have more number of classes, you could also have a mid-year assessment intervention. Engaging events. You need to plan your events well ahead in time. Engaging events. You need to plan your events well ahead in time and inform all the stakeholders. As a school timetable is very busy, it's very difficult to move things around. You need to ensure that you book the spot for your event well ahead in time. So you have an entire annual calendar. You have your sports day, let's say in August. You have your fitness challenges in December. You have intra and inter school competition, let's say in November. So all these events have to be marked well ahead of time and informed to the school management that these are the events that you will be doing, these are the number of periods required or the time required, these are the resources required, manpower required, so that you are able to design as well as execute the events on time. Effective lesson plans. As we have already discussed, based on the curriculum framework that you will prepare, you will have to design and implement effective lesson plans to maximize activity, incorporate variety, and cater to different learning styles. So all these lesson plans have to be structured into weekly and monthly planners. Efficient class management strategies. So you need to have strategies for your classes, you need to have strategies for your events. Also, what is your strategy for documentation in your classes? So all these strategies within the class, outside the class, needs to be mentioned in your annual operating plan. Proper equipment use. What kind of equipment are you going to use in your classes? What is the variety of the equipment? How are you going to audit your equipment for quality and sufficient numbers? So that should be incorporated in your annual operating plan. You have to plan your contingencies in, let's say you have more loss and damage props middle of the year. How are you going to replenish your props? What is your plan? And what is the minimum number of props required for each of your activities, so that if you are at the threshold, you are able to request for help or get more equipment well in time, and there is no loss of classes for students. And lastly, how do you create communication channels to collaborate with parents, school staff, other sports professionals, other schools? If you have planned inter-school events, then how are you going to communicate? When are you going to communicate? All these communication plan needs to be worked out in detail and should be part of your annual operating plan. Third part in planning is class management and maximizing moving time in class. The first point is see through your student eyes. Get the perspective of your students. They are getting only 2 classes per week. So ensure that you are actively engaging them within this class. You need to be aware of what is the standing or waiting time around, or how much time is being spent in giving out instructions versus moving time. So getting a student perspective is very important. Engaging them and getting them active instantly is the key. Second, keep the lines moving. Activities that involve taking turns, like you have individual skill activity, like let's say basketball dribbling, football dribbling, where you have lines, you have a single line formation, you have a vertical line formation, right? And the child goes through to point A to point B to dribble and others are waiting. In such scenarios, how do you ensure that the waiting time is being utilized properly and they're not just inactive during these activities? So you can have activities on the sideline like jumps, throws, or you could have activities relating to the assessments that you're going to do. Let's say you are going to assess uh, flexibility. So you can have flexibility exercises assigned to them while they are waiting for their turn. So this will also contribute to improvement in assessments later on. Third, in team games, there is, or activity in physical education activity, there are different roles uh, that are played out. So different children play different role. Ensure that you are rotating these roles so that every student uh, uh, gets the opportunity to play each part. Some of the parts could be more exciting, interesting to students. So other students who are not playing that part should not feel disengaged or disinterested. So it is very essential that you rotate the roles, and you have to plan. How do you plan for these roles? How these transitions will happen? That you need to be mindful of. Transitions between the activities, let's say you've finished one activity, you're moving to next activity or a different location, or there is a prop change, there is a role change. So how do you plan these transitions? How quickly you uh, are able to move to the next activity or able to fulfill that transaction is very essential. So ensure that you incorporate this into your routines. So every transition can be converted into a routine. That if you are moving from activity 1 to activity 2, okay, you will be jogging, or you could be doing a stretch, or you could do a quick fitness challenge. And whenever I say change, you can use different cues so that they understand uh, that there is a method of transitioning and there is no requirement of class management strategies every time there is a transition in the lesson plan. Music as motivation. For younger students, music can be a very powerful tool. Uh, in fact, there are music available for pre-primary and primary classes. On the entire lesson is incorporated uh, within the music, and music can also be used as a start and stop signal, and it can kill the boredom in regular classes. It can also give you a break. If you have 7 to 8 classes per week, music can be a really helpful class management strategy to give you that essential break required during the day, and obviously energize the classes. The sixth point is eliminating the stop and go. Too much of interruption kills the fun, right? You may have designed the activity very well. It is aligned to all your national standards. It has fun. But when you go out and execute, you are stopping the activity too many times, which kills the fun. So ensure that if you want to give any skill correction, instead of stopping the entire class, you can just point out or go near to the student and give a very individualized correction rather than stopping the entire class. Seventh is optimize every minute. Don't let beginning and end of your class go to waste. Ensure that you have proper routines in your classes. Routines will enable you to, quick start your classes without much effort and being put into class management. So have your, as we discussed before, have preset warm-ups for different kind of activities. Make sure children understand that these are small warm-ups. You could also make videos of this and probably share it with teachers, class teachers, which can be shown during bad weather when you are doing indoor activity, so that when they come out for outdoor classes later in the season, they will understand these warm-ups readily, and it will help you save a lot of time and maximize your moving time. Gradual instruction and differentiation. As we have discussed this multiple times already, and this is the activity killer or fun killer, is that you are overwhelming students with long explanations. especially with complicated activities uh, where you have a lot of transitions, a lot of rules to be followed. So there is a cognitive overload on the student when you are giving long instructions and all instructions at one time. Let the games or activity begin, and as you see children enjoying the game, then you could start pointing out to specific rules, regulations, fouls as they make it, so that uh, there is still a continuous activity going on. At the same time, you're learning the game as you play. Adapt and engage in every sport. So every sport has a quality. There are uh, uh, sports which have lower activity for some players. You will have to adapt games to maximize participation. For example, in cricket, you have only one batter, which is the most sought after role that children would like to play. And then you have fielders, bowlers, wicket keepers. So how do you adapt or modify such games so that everybody feels engaged and not just waiting for a chance to become a batsman, right? So you could have activities modified for fielders, make them uh, more participative in the game, rather than leaving it to chance that only when the ball comes to them they are active in the game. So modify, introduce some gamified point system or some other activity to ensure that all roles become equally interesting. Enthusiasm is the key, right? So your own energy, if you are moving enough, your children will move sufficiently in your class. It has a really positive impact on student engagement, that you should be also moving as your class is moving. Obviously, you need to be aware of your supervision as well, but ensure that you are enthusiastic and enjoying the activity as you would like your children to enjoy the activities. So these are the 10 strategies that you need to plan with various kind of activities, which strategy to be used in which activity, which event, uh, it could be assessments also. So all these strategies will help you increase your moving time in your annual operating plan elements that you have created, and ensure that your students would like to come back to your classes because they are enjoying your classes and they are getting ample, sufficient moving time. So this is the last part of the planning stage, but this is the ultimate outcome of a physical education program, and uh, this is what we should strive to achieve, is promoting a lifelong physical activity behavior, physical literacy in students. So how do we do that? Uh, First and foremost is emphasize enjoyment over competition. You have to make it fun, personalize, have energy in your classes, and be supportive. There should be a proper balance between enjoyment and competition. If you're too much on the competition side, then there will always be majority of the students who will be lagging behind and may not feel successful after each class, and their interest levels will keep going down. So as PE teacher, you should focus on fun, engaging activities that promote participation over winning. And by doing so, then students will start associating physical activity with positive experiences rather than pressure, stress, or anxiety uh, to lose the game. Second is teach a variety of skills. So it could be across various sports. Don't stick to one sport. We all have biases uh, that especially with the sports that we have played. So we tend to overdo those kind of activities, skills related to sports. So introduce to a wide students to a wide range of activities, from traditional sports to creative movement exercises to new age games. So introduce students to a wide range of activities, from traditional sports to creative movement exercises, new sports, like you have pickleball, which is trending these days. You could have frisbee. You could have contrasting games to frisbee, which is football, basketball, where the direction of pass is in the opposite direction. So this variety provides students to engage in a more fulfilling manner in your PE classes. Third is develop life skills through PE. So beyond physical skills, as we mentioned, it's a recommendation in the National Education Policy, and we should be uh, able to inculcate life skills learning outcomes like teamwork, which are the which are the activities which help you build teamwork, right? Resilience, goal setting. This is a important curriculum goal in NCF. I think it's curriculum goal number 3, that students should be aware of their fitness levels and what is the goal that they're setting this year for their fitness scores. These life skills will enhance students' confidence, adaptability, and making them more likely to pursue activities independently. Very essential for a lifelong participation in physical activity that you develop life skills through physical education. Foster a supportive environment. Uh, you should be able to provide a consistent supportive environment to each child, regardless of their skill level, their social economic background, which could be a bias for some teachers. Creating an inclusive space where students can learn at their own pace and promotes a positive attitudes towards the activity. Incorporate health education. So integrate your physical activity, connect them to your mental and physical health, so that their understanding is deepened on why staying active is essential. So this knowledge and understanding will empower students to make informed decisions about their own well-being. So PE teachers who adopt these strategies can cultivate a culture of lifelong activities with students and setting them on a path of a healthier and more active lives, which is the ultimate outcome of any physical education program. So with this, we take a break, and we've completed 2 important sections here. Qualities of a PE teacher, what essential qualities you need to have or you need to develop in order to become an exceptional PE teacher, and the starting stage of your structured physical education program, which is planning the program with all the details that we have discussed. So ensure that you go through this module and start preparing points pertaining to your school's environment, and study how do you make this more customized and individualized to students. Welcome back to the chapter of role of a PE teacher. We will move on to the third section, which is the power of documentation in tracking growth and informing instructions. So why documentation is important, and what are we documenting in physical education program? So first and foremost is that it is very essential to showcase your work and track progress in physical education program. There are so many lesson plans, so many activities, so many learning outcomes, skills taught to be tracked, and hence documentation is essential. It is also to inform school management, parents, other stakeholders in the journey of a physical education of a child, where and how the progress is taking place. So documentation of lesson plans. Uh, so which lessons, how many repetitions of the lesson plans, uh, to which curriculum standards were they aligned to, needs to be documented. Second is students' assessments. These documentations are to be prepared at a child level. So individual progress report cards, there are CBSE progress health and progress cards as well that we need to maintain. Uh, this is according to the grades, then what is the attendance of each student, how many uh, classes are at what curriculum completion percentage, and then the record for skill assessments. Third is health and safety of children. You need to maintain the health info for children who may have some preconditions and could be at risk during physical education classes. So you need to maintain and have a record of these uh, children, so that in your absence, if there is some other teacher who is substituting for you, can refer to these documentation and be aware of children who might be at risk or should not involved in vigorous physical activity. You could have your safety checks and incident reports uh, within those documentation. You could also have statement of purpose uh, for various safety situations that you may encounter in physical education. Documentation on reporting which classes have been completed with parents and administration that we discussed earlier. Uh, Documentation of events. As we had discussed during the planning stage, you are developing an annual calendar for your events. Once events are completed, you should document in terms of how successful the event was, whether it was executed at design, what are the learnings from these events, and within event execution, there will be a lot of documentation while the event is on. Participant details, match details, outcomes, schedules, and all that. And lastly, all these documentation will help you, in your professional development. You should also document the additional things that you are trying to do to improve yourself as a PE teacher. So recording workshops, it could be synopsis of various research papers that you are reading out. It could be an article on teaching strategies. So you need to document all this at one place, so that you are able to track inclusion of these learnings, and you're putting them to use in your physical education classes. And the last one is equipment inventory. You have to have a proper documentation to track and document your sports equipment, categorizing them as loss, damage, or take feedback from students, check the safety conditions and utilization levels of various props and equipment, and take an informed decision later on, uh, so that you are able to upgrade your prop list based on these actual learnings from the ground. So why is documentation so important? As physical education teachers, we are mainly concerned with on-ground activities, playing, and documentation has been a late requirement to the role of PE teacher, and it is seen as a very tedious task. However, in physical education, documentation can actually transform your role, impact the progress of your students and yourself, and it is something that is very essential to showcase the work that you have done to all stakeholders in the school. So effective documentation is just beyond recording lesson plans. It is more comprehensive. of recording learning, student learning, growth and development. So tracking the progress for each skill, each student. So it's a very comprehensive process that needs to be taken very seriously and incorporated uh, right from the word go. So the first important point for documentation is that it enables you to individualize instruction. So by keeping detailed record for each student, strength, challenges, uh, remedial measures, and the progress on the areas of improvement that you have shortlisted uh, will ultimately lead to student development and the outcome of physical education and physical literacy. Documentation helps you monitor growth over time. So it provides you clarity, a very clear picture how students are developing throughout the year and how your activities plan is working out. What is the success percentage for each of your lesson plans, and it enables you to identify areas where additional support may be required. It informs future planning. Without documentation, you cannot reflect on past lesson plans, you cannot reflect on activities, you cannot reflect on the experiences you have created in your physical education classes, and you will not be able to develop strategies and design more effective learning experiences for your students if you do not have documentation, comprehensive documentation for each lesson's learning outcomes, classes. Documentation also enables you to communicate effectively. Well-maintained records, they are a valuable tool for communicating student progress with parents, administration and other stakeholders because they may not understand physical education so well. So a comprehensive record with proper explanation and description helps parents to understand the kind of activities, the kind of developmental goals that students are engaged in and trying to achieve. It ensures accountability. It provides evidence of your work. It provides the effort that you have put in your classes. That the evidence of teaching is reflective in the exam scores that students take on the academic side. In the physical education classes, the evidence of learning is slightly more intangible and it's only reflective in assessment scores, fitness scores. So hence it is very important that we document our classes, learning outcomes, skills taught, so that we are able to showcase our work and also share the accountability of our curriculum delivery. Here are a few examples of documentation. Here you will see the yearly planner, right? So you are actually forecasting your monthly. This is for June 2023. You have shortlisted the lessons that you will do. These are the lesson codes that you have actually created, and we will delve deeper into this codes and lesson planning in a separate module which is dedicated for planning and implementation of physical education. So this was your plan for the month of June. This is the actual that you have been able to achieve. If it is matching, well and good. Otherwise, you could also put in a remark why we fell short on the plan. Then this was the yearly planner. So you have put down your class plan. You have your, within this you also have your events that you have planned. You have also shortlisted exams when classes may not be able to happen and school holidays. So this is a comprehensive monthly plan and it gives you clarity on how many classes you are able to execute or how many events you are able to execute in a given month. Another example of documentation is the log sheet. So this is a sheet where I am documenting my daily classes. For example, for class 1, how many boys, how many girls attended the class, what was the lesson code, if there was a teacher present who was helping you out, who's the teacher, the teacher signature, and what skills basically did you teach in this lesson plan, and what is the feedback for student on these lesson plans, right? So this gives you uh, insights about the activities that you have conducted, the interest level of students across these activities, and these feedback will help you, uh, plan the future activities for next year. Though this is how documentation is absolutely essential for future planning. Another example is on individualized goal and remedial measures. The title of this documentation is Driving Improvement, where you have the student name, what is the observation that you have seen. So it's struggling to perform a football dribbling, right? There is a remedial measure that the PE teacher has recommended and for a certain period of time, and then there is a date of improvement to be documented. So this is how you can maintain records of individual students who are slow learners, who needs help, additional help apart from the regular PE classes, and this serves as a basis of your communication channel, the communication discussion with your parents in parent-teacher meetings. It is can it is it can be given to the school management as well as a evidence of your work, since there are no exams on the in the physical education program apartment fitness. So you will have all these qualitative inputs as evidence of work to be given to school management and parents. So this was the documentation section, and we have covered the importance of documentation and what can be documented, and seen some examples of how we are documenting various elements in physical education program. So section 4, nurture holistic well-being and explore physical education and social emotional learning crossroad. So why is holistic well-being important, and how physical education can aid holistic well-being for students and improve social emotional learning? So PE as a tool is very helpful because when you are an activity, you're playing an activity, you're there emotionally invested, and it kind of makes you aware of various kind of emotions that you go through. It helps you manage these emotions, stress, and provides you a roadmap in terms of how do you deal with such emotions, and especially team games where you have more interaction with others, where you have conditions to talk to others, cooperate with others, collaborate with others in order to win. So P as a tool to teach life skill and social emotional skills, ultimately contributing to holistic well-being, is well known. And as PE teachers, we should know what are the different social emotional skills, how physical education is affecting the overall well-being of the students. So first is health. How does physical education, physical activity promotes health, right? So you need to connect your physical education activities, lesson plans to healthy habits, to health. Let's say if you do a vigorous activity, your heart rate goes up, right? Which is, and you talk about target heart rate. You talk about the number of steps that you've taken, the distance that you've covered, right? So, and how these contribute to overall health. So then there is a connection between physical activity and health, which children gain knowledge about and develop understanding about. Then teaching healthy lifestyle choices educates students about nutrition, sleep, stress management, and other factors that contribute health and well-being, right? So while the activity is on, you don't need to necessarily stop and start the game again and again, as we had discussed before. You could have a separate section within your PE classes. You could name it as a well-being corner or something, give a creative name, and maybe at the end or whenever you want to provide a break in your physical education classes, that's when you can talk about these things with students about, so that it does not interfere and breaks the momentum in your activity. Identify health issues, right? So as PE teachers, we may be the first people to be able to notice any health related issues, because these health related issues comes to surface when students are engaged in moderate to vigorous physical activity, right? So it is important that we are vigilant about it and documenting and informing all the stakeholders in the system about any health issues. The second aspect of well-being is education, right? So how does physical education teaches, or how does physical education aid education? So first and the foremost is developing physical literacy, right? So it's about developing their knowledge and understanding, providing them the motivation, the competence to participate in variety of activities, and instilling a lifelong love for movement. Second, in enhancing learning through movement. So you incorporate movement and physical activity for academic concepts. For example, multiplication, right? So how do you incorporate multiplication in physical education classes? While they are doing some physical activity, how are they learning about multiplication? So these can be called academically integrated physical education classes, right? So as a physical education teacher, you need to learn these skills of integrating academic concepts in physical education classes. For this, you may need to collaborate with academic teachers, understand the challenges, take down notes, shortlist the topics in academics where academic teachers might need extra help from you to deliver this concept in physical education classes, where students with kinesthetic style of learning may be more in a better position to learn these concepts in a physical education class rather than just classroom alone. And then promote teamwork and cooperation. You could have more pair or group activities which conditions children to cooperate with other students, interact with other students, to develop their teamwork and cooperation, which can help in their academic performance as well, as they will be involved in various group projects, group outings, educational outings. So all these will contribute to their education. So how does next is how does physical education aid safety, well-being of children? Creating a safe environment, ensuring that the PE environment is safe and free from hazards. You need to do a proper recce of your uh, infrastructure where the students are playing. Anything which could harm or could cause injury to students, usage of equipment. In fact, the first 3 classes that you will have, you could have all your sports equipment lined up and discuss do's and don'ts for each of the sports equipment and follow the safety rules. Prevent bullying and harassment. So promote a culture of respect and inclusion in your PE classes. And Address any bullying or harassment immediately with proper disciplinary uh, reinforcements. Teach personal safety skills. Incorporate activities that teach student about personal safety, uh, like personal space, how to play in your personal space, and then you can move on to more advanced uh, concepts of personal safety in and outside school. Teach some lessons on self-defense. Uh, have proper first aid procedures in place, and we will delve into first aid in more depth in a dedicated chapter later. And obviously, if swimming or water sports are part of your physical education program, then you should have proper SOPs for your water safety as well. So, how does physical education develop social life, social well being, right? As we have discussed earlier, incorporate social emotional learning outcomes, life skills learning outcome. Uh, you can easily build those learning outcome within your PE classes to build friendship, develop important social skills like communication, cooperation, conflict resolution. So you can have activities uh, designed in group, pair, large groups, small groups, and if you know your students well, you can mix the groups to create situations of conflict, and then from there on, you can teach students how basically to deal with a conflict. Promote teamwork and collaboration. As you mentioned, we have team building activities, cooperating activities, games to foster sense of community and belonging among students. So, in the planning stage, you have to really study the demographic of your schools, talk to parents, talk to your senior management, other teachers. If this section about learning outcomes, about teamwork, collaboration is required more, you can design more activities for social and emotional well being. The next is, how does PE contribute to emotional and psychological development? Boost self esteem, helps students develop a positive self image, and they are able to build confidence through physical activity and accomplishment. They learn to manage their stress and emotions. So manage stress and emotions while they are playing variety of physical activity, uh, having a variety of learning outcomes. They also exhibit a lot of social, emotions, uh, and they are able to find healthy way to cope with stress, anxiety, and other emotions that they experience in physical education class. By using games and activities to help students develop emotional control, resilience, and perseverance, you teach them to regulate their emotions effectively. Intellectual development. Physical education can enhance their cognitive function. Physical activity has been shown to improve cognitive function, which is linked to your thinking. Cognitive means thinking, related to brain, to thinking, functions of memory and attention, right? So in PE classes, you can have specially designed activities with dynamic changing rules, so that it is children are required to update their memory or focus on a particular aspect of an activity to promote cognitive learning outcomes. Develop problem solving skills. Use movement challenges, games, give them problems with props that require students to think critically and solve problems and make decisions. Encourage creativity and imaginations. Sometimes you will have to let students lead the way and create activities on their own. So you could just give them some demonstrations after you have reached a particular point in your curriculum, and then you can enable students to create their own activities and games using the skills that you have taught. Sense of belonging. So create an inclusive environment. And this sentence or this term keeps uh, repeating itself in the entire course, because this is one of the most important pillars in a structured program, is to create an inclusive environment. So ensure all students feel welcome, valued, and included in PE classes regardless of their ability, level, background, skill, fitness. So nothing should come in between in terms of their participation in physical education classes. Foster a sense of community. Use team building activities and games to create a sense of belonging and connection among students. And celebrate diversity. Embrace the celebrate diversity of student backgrounds, abilities, interests, skill level, fitness level, and tailor your classes, activity, teaching methods accordingly. Welcome back. So let's move on to section 5, which is championing inclusion and building a sporting culture in your school and in the community. So why school-wide involvement matters? So far we have discussed inclusion in your PE classes, making every child feel comfortable and giving him or her equal opportunity to participate in your PE classes. This inclusion in this section implies to inclusion of all stakeholders in the sports program in the school, which will form the basis of building a sporting culture in your school. So let's explore why school-wide involvement matters, right? Positive role models. As we have discussed earlier, children learn by observing more than what they learn from instructions. So when they see their parents, their teachers, the principal, PE teachers, other supporting staff in the school participating, it truly translates the value of physical activity and lifelong fitness for them. And that motivates them to be involved more in physical activity outside school hours as well. Increase support for PE. When you involve all stakeholders in the school, you create more advocates for your physical education program, and it enables you to get more share of the resources within the school. So let's say uh, academic teachers have really had a good time, good positive experiences in the designed sports activity, let's say on a teacher's day, on a children's day that you had designed, right? They become, and when they themselves go through a very positive emotions during these activities, they become advocate of physical activity and physical education. And this might translate in future that physical education classes will not get substituted, right? Stronger school community. Shared activity create connections and a sense of belongings, right? When you play together, there is this bonding that happens uh, across various stakeholders, right? And who may not be directly working in schools together, but this creates a very strong bond. Improved student well-being. In the last section, we have seen how physical education contributes to uh, physical, educational, intellectual, psychological safety, well-being of children. And so adults can support physical and mental health through encouragement and participation. Lastly, why school-wide movement matters is because it breaks down barriers. Inclusive activities create opportunities for interaction between various students, staff, and wider communities. It brings them together. So this is why every stakeholder, not just academic teachers, co-curricular teachers, in fact, all supporting staff should be made part of uh, this movement, and some activity has to be designed for each person that is there present on the school campus. Let's see how to get involved. How do you get people to join this movement? So you will have to adapt this according to the specific uh, school environment context that you have. Some of the examples are staff, sports team, and clubs. So for form teams or clubs for staff members for various sports like basketball, soccer, walking group, especially senior management, they can take a lead on this and make them in charge of these various sports clubs. Regular matches between staff and students, old boys who have graduated from the school in past years, student versus student games. You can have various kind of tournaments and organize friendly competition between staff and students. Have a running trophy each year, which can really excite and get old boys also coming to school and participate. Active lunch breaks or active breaks during classes, not just PE classes, but I'm talking about academic classes within the classroom, right? That after every period there is a stretching routine or there is an exercise routine, right? So entire school after each period is doing some kind of physical, not just for student but also for staff. Involving everyone in the school, as I said, in all kind of events. So for example, for sports days, involve all students, all staff, teachers, give them some specific duty at their level, which they are able to perform. Students who are not participating, you can involve them in management committees, uh, give them specific job roles within sports day and post sports day also to create reports, announcements, and other sports management related fields. Support fundraising efforts. This is really popular in the West in schools, not really taken up, but this is an area to explore for PE teachers that assist with raising funds for resources that may not be available in the school, or it could not be meant for school, but it could be for the community in the vicinity of the school, for underprivileged kids to organize special events for these underprivileged kids to participate in physical activities. So this, by the way, is connected to CBSE HPE, Health and Physical Education standards, where SEVA is one of the strands, and by helping out conducting special events for underprivileged children, you are able to fulfill that strand and learn life skills and supporting others. And the last one is make everyone advocate for PE, right? So there could be discussions with parents that mostly class teachers are doing, enable them on various topics that they are required to update parents about the physical education journey of their children. So help them with proper uh, verbiages, data, so that they are able to communicate this effectively to promote physical education with all stakeholders. Section 6, School Policies, Child Safety and Professionalism. In this section, we will learn about safety and professionalism, which is paramount in PE. We'll explore how to create a secure learning environment and uphold ethical standards. We will learn about school policies, how to adhere with school policies, what it means for child safety, cover child safety protocols, and how to maintain professionalism in all interaction. So as physical education teachers, we are not just responsible for physical well-being, but also for overall safety and development of students. In this respect, adhering to school policies and maintaining professionalism are crucial aspects of your job role. First is adherence to school rules and regulations. So every school has a different policy which are aligned to compliant to national and state policies, but it is essential to know and understand school policy regarding child safety, parent interaction, HR policies, and other important documents that you need to condition yourself to. Compliance with school timings and attendance systems. So maintaining accurate attendance records, ensuring your punctuality, students' punctuality, and participation are fully in PE classes. Know when to exempt students from PE classes. Know uh, what can you do to minimize these exemption and how school policies can inform you on that. Leave procedures and substitution arrangements. So follow your leave record, the leave adherence religiously. In general, there are 12 to 14 leaves that are allowed per year, and essential that you will plan your leaves accordingly. Inform all stakeholders about your planned leaves much in advance so that proper substitution can be made in your absence. You also need to prepare a plan during your absence, what substitution teachers will do in your absence. So proper lesson plans, easier lesson plans as per the skills of that person who are going to substitute your classes will be able to execute. Code of conduct and respect for hierarchy. I think this is extremely crucial that you know first the hierarchy in the school and understand the hierarchy, and if there is a conflict, if there is a request, any thing that is required in PE classes should be raised to the right hierarchy channel in the right and the most professional manner, which will be informed in the school policy. It's not really professional to skip the hierarchy line and reach out to vice principal, principal every time for very small issues, because the senior management uh, people have a lot of other things to take care of. Child safety. So we have a dedicated chapter on child safety, which will talk about child safety in detail, POSCO Act, best practices in child safety, which is going to be covered in the next chapter. So prioritizing the safety and well-being of students at all times is absolute must. Taking necessary precautions to prevent accidents and injuries. So this particular chapter will delve deep into child safety practices, and as you must have heard, seen, a lot of incidents relating to child safety leads to very serious legal consequences, with some of the PE teachers, behind the bars for a long time now because of very negligent behavior on child safety and poor awareness on this particular topic. Section 7, conducting events. So in this section, we will explore how to plan and execute successful events, uh, promote healthy competition, ensure that everybody is getting a chance to compete, from sports days to tournaments to fitness challenges, and how to organize these engaging experiences that leave a positive impact on your students and the wider school community to build a sporting culture. So events provides an opportunity for students to showcase their skills as discussed. It builds their confidence and it gives them a chance to implement what they have learned during the PE classes. So it serves as kind of an evidence of our PE classes, what children have learned and to what extent they are able to implement this in a competition mode. So first is planning and preparation. As we had discussed during the planning chapter, right? For the entire annual year, we need to have um, an advance plan created for all the events. In which month, which event is being created. So events could be of various kinds. It could be regular sports days. intra-school, inter-school tournaments. Apart from that, there could be special day tournament, let's say, or special day events. For example, Yoga Day is one example. Another is National Sports Day, or it could be in very specific to your school context, that your school is more engaged in, let's say, uh, science projects, or their students are very much interested in science. So you may celebrate Science Day, a special day with physical education activities. So events could be regular events, special day events, and events which can energize the program when there is some kind of monotony because of continuous physical education classes. So you could also plan those kind of events. So collaborating with colleagues, informing all stakeholders in advance is a must thing. Second is coordination and execution. Ensuring the smooth execution of events which uh, which requires you to uh, have proper planning on infra, equipment required, staff required, managing the logistics, and uh, mapping the current bandwidth of staff available, reaching out to volunteers in physical education colleges for extra help, and creating a positive and inclusive atmosphere. Communication and promotion. Effectively communicating event details to students, parents, and wider school community, generating excitement and encouraging participation. Amplifying event information about event is also essential. How you effectively communicate your event details. It should not happen that event is 3 days from now and today is when the communication is going out to parents as an invitation. You need to give ample time for people to make uh, time for your events, right? So ideally it should happen 10 or 15 days before, and indulge in creative ways to promote event communication. It could be very student-led as well. You can have a student committee who is participating the event to execute this communication plan and personalize this with their own presence in the collaterals and campaigns. Let's revisit why events are important. It is because of the thrill of competition. Everybody wants to compete, whether it is students, teachers. So you can have different events for students, different events for teachers. It is a stage for all to showcase their skills. It's a very great tool to detect talent or identify talent, right? So you should have proper uh, observers during these tournaments. If it is a sports-based tournament, very competitive tournament, to document and look for students who are showcasing real skills and can be part of your future school teams. Again, it's where there when there's competition is fierce, it's the real test of your life skills, right? So observe behaviors of various students that you could discuss post the event to make them aware of the life skills and the emotions exhibited during the tournaments. And last and the most important is that it helps bring the sporting culture in school. Again, what kind of events? Sports day, which is a regular event. For students, it could be intra-class, inter-class, school, zonal, district, and further. You could have special fitness challenges, events. In fact, all assessments that you do in the school can be uh, done in a competition manner, where you can, like, let's say for example, beep test you can have big speakers in the ground, you can have everybody involved taking beep test. As I mentioned again, special day events like Yoga Day, National Sports Day, as per your school context, you can have various special day events planned. Have events planned for staff as well, and staff student events. You can also have parent and student events, right? To further the idea of creating a more active community for schools. So you can have special events for parents. Now, what kind of tournaments can you do, uh, especially in terms of when you're trying to detect talent, or when you want to have more people playing tournament in order to make your school teams. So you can have a knockout and elimination tournament. Ideally, when you have limited time, you have large number of, if you are working in a large school with large student strength, more number of sections, and you have less time, this is a type of tournament which is suiting to such conditions. Yes, it could be a less fair in terms of that the player or participant, team participating gets only one chance and could exit early, and it could be not attributing to their talent, but it could be a matter of chance also. So that needs to be considered here. Double elimination is slightly more fair in a sense that it provides a second chance, making it more forgiving. Uh, so this is a tournament that is better than the single elimination. So most of the time you should at least have a double elimination tournament. This will take a longer time to complete, but then in order to make it fair, you will have to invest in time. Then you have consolation. This is when the focus is on participation and providing maximum playing opportunities. So especially for those who exit early in the tournament. Again, anything relating to giving more chance to participants and teams will require more time and resources. Another popular format is league come knockout tournament. This format starts with the league phase where participants play each other, and as you move towards the business end of the tournament, it is on a knockout stage, which is this is the very popular and go-to format for all your major sporting events like Football World Cup, Cricket World Cup. Then you have knockout come league. This format becomes the exactly the opposite way, where there is a knockout stage in the beginning. This is mainly done to reduce the number of participants in the beginning, and then the winners of the knockout then keep progressing to a league stage.